It is believed that some great people issue contradictory statement or approach or adopt contradictory approach, and one is unable to decide what was their actual position. This is what also said about Einstein, who is considered a cultural Zionist, or some people like those who support Israel, they might say that he was a Zionist, he was a supporter of, at least in some respect, a supporter of Israel, and that one of the like podcast which is associated with the Times of Israel, the anchor of that postcard recently criticized Hasan Spiker, whereby he, in a way, said that Einstein was appalled or horrified after the massacre of Deir Yassin, where more than 100 Palestinians were killed, including women and children. And Hasan Spiker implied that he quoted Einstein as saying that it's more or less fascist or Nazi tactics that the attackers used. And he also described some of the Israeli parties of that time of the accused of following the tactics of the fascist or the Israelis. But there are others who believe that he was strongly opposed to the ardent supporters of the state of Israel, and he wrote an article along with Hannah Arendt and others. It's important to see that articles. I think I should read. It was written on December 2, 1948. So this is one part. Then I'll follow other argument. Among the most disturbing, and in that letter, Einstein has written along with others, among the most disturbing political phenomena of our times is the emergence in the newly created state of Israel of the Freedom Party. Now he's trying to. This is very important. What he writes after this? A political party closely akin in its organization, methods, political philosophy, and social appeal to the Nazi and fascist parties. It was formed out of the membership and following of the former Argun Lumi, Ziavi Lumi, a terrorist right wing chauvinist organization in Palestine. The current visit of Benjamin Begin, leader of his party, to the United States is obviously calculated to give the impression of American support for his party in the coming Israeli elections, and to cement political ties with conservative Zionist elements in the United States. Several Americans of national repute have lent their names to welcome his visit. It is inconceivable that those who oppose fascism throughout the world, if correctly informed as to Mr. Begin's political record and perspective, could add their names and support to the movement he represents before irreparable damage is done by way of financial contributions, public manifestations in Begin's behalf, and the creation in Palestine of the impression that a large segment of America supports fascist elements in Israel. The American public must be informed as to the record and objective of Mr. Begin and his movement. The public avowals of Begin's party are no guide whatsoever, whatever to its actual character. Today, they speak of freedom, democracy, and anti-imperialism, whereas until recently they openly preached the doctrine of the fascist state. It is in its action, it is in its actions that the terrorist party betrays its real character. From its past actions, we can judge what it may be expected to do in the future. Then the New York Times has given attack on Arab village. A shocking example was their behavior in the Arab village of Deir Yassin. This village off the main roads and surrounded by Jewish lands had taken no part in the war and had even fought off Arab bands who wanted to use the village as their base. On April 9, uh, terrorist bands attacked this peaceful village, which was not a military objective in the fighting. killed most of its inhabitants, 250, 240 men, women, and children, and kept a few of them alive to parade as captives through the streets of Jerusalem. Now, here the Israeli podcaster pointed out that Hasan Piker only mentioned this incident, but after that incident, I think hundreds of or more than 100 Jewish doctors, nurses, and other people, they went to that particular village or tried to go to that particular village where they were attacked by the Arab armed militants at that time. And the podcaster uh, asserted that dozens of people, including doctors and nurses, they were killed in that attack. So he accused Hassan Spiker of of not divulging these information, or of not mentioning this particular incident whereby Jewish paramedical staff and medical staff was also targeted. So the letter goes on to add, most of the Jewish community was horrified at the deed, and the Jewish agency sent a telegram of apology to King Abdullah of Transjordan. But the terrorists, far from being ashamed of their act, were proud of this massacre, publicized it widely, and invited all the foreign correspondents present in the country to view the heap corpses and the general havoc at Deir Yassin. It's one of the famous incidents of that time, and it was widely condemned by many people, including many Jewish organizations as well. The Deir Yassin incident exemplifies the character and actions of the Freedom Party. Within the Jewish community, they have preached an admixture of ultra nationalism, religious mysticism, and racial superiority. Like other fascist party, they have been used to break strikes and have themselves pressed for the destruction of free trade union, sorry. In their state, they have proposed corporate unions on the Italian fascist model. During the last years of sporadic anti-British violence, the IZL and Eastern groups inaugurated a reign of terror in the Palestine Jewish community. Teachers were beaten up for speaking against them, adults were shot for not letting their children join them. By gangster methods, beating, window smashing, and widespread robberies, the terrorists intimidated the population and exacted a heavy tribute. The people of the Freedom Party have had no part in the constructive achievements in Palestine. They have reclaimed no land, built no settlements, and only detracted from the Jewish defense activity. Their much publicized immigration endeavors were minute and devoted mainly to bringing in fascist compatriots. Then it talks about discrepancies seen. The discrepancies between the bold claims now being made by Begin and his party and their record of past performance in Palestine bear the imprint of no ordinary political party. This is the unmistakable stamp of a fascist party for whom terrorism against Jews, Arabs, and British alike and misrepresentation are means, and a leader state is the goal. In the light of the foregoing considerations, it is imperative that the truth about Mr. Begin and his movement be made known in this country. It is all the more tragic that the top leadership of American Zionism has refused to campaign against Begin's efforts or even to expose to its own constituents the dangers to Israel from support to Begin. The undersigned therefore take this means of publicly presenting a few salient facts uh, concerning Begin and his party, and of urging all concerned, not to support this latest manifestation of fascism. After that, it is signed by different people, including Hannah Arendt, Abraham Brick, and Rabbi. There is a certain Rabbi, and then they have given some details as well. So this is an interesting article that I have read out, but I will continue with more argument. This is part one, and I will continue with part two.